Your inner voice is holding you back. Here's how to fix it. The way we talk to ourselves is probably the most important thing in our existence, because it dictates the way that we behave and the amount of judgment, self-judgment that we do. And how we speak to ourselves dictates how we feel about ourselves. How we feel about ourselves dictates the actions that we do, and the actions that we do dictate what it is that we attain. And the greatest indication of somebody's self-talk is how they speak to others. Because separation is the greatest illusion, right? We speak to others same way that we speak to ourselves. Any criticism we can ever offer anybody else is only ever a projection. Any advice is only ever a projection. Any compliment, any insult is only ever a projection. Anything you can ever say about anybody else is only ever a projection. Why? Because we experience life from one perspective, our own. Hence, we can only hold others to the same standards that we hold ourselves. So the question I pose to you is, how is it that you speak to yourself? Somebody who's practicing the transmutation of negative thoughts and negative self-talk into positive thoughts and self-loving conversations with self has no time to criticize you. Why? Because they understand that the mind doesn't know the difference between criticizing somebody else and criticizing yourself. It doesn't know the difference. It considers that one in the same. So if you are practicing changing your self-talk, the way that you think about yourself, into something positive, you have no time to criticize others. Because you understand that everybody is going through the same life experience, dealing with the same, but different versions of trauma. Yeah? Doing the best with their abilities to keep moving forward. And you're not pointing the finger at everybody else, because if you're pointing the finger at everybody else, you're pointing the finger at yourself. So you need to learn how to speak to yourself as you speak to your child's version of. And it's actually the most healing thing that you can actually ever do. If you can learn to speak to yourself as you would speak to a younger version of yourself, like a child version of yourself, like how you speak to a nephew or a niece or a younger toddler-aged cousin of yours, or brother or siblings. If you learn to speak to yourself in that manner, then you learn to only speak to yourself in a loving, positive, progressive way. If you ever do anything out of character, you must forgive yourself rapidly. The speed in which you can forgive yourself is tied to the speed in which you can accept yourself, which is also tied into the speed in which you can move forward and progress in life. The reason why we get stuck on things is we're too busy beating ourselves up about choices that we made that maybe didn't align with what we wanted in the bigger picture. But in the moment, we made that decision. And you must learn to forgive yourself. Why? Because if you don't, it just leads to self-sabotage. Constantly sabotaging your own progress because you're holding a grudge against yourself. For what reason? You want to progress and move forward. You don't have time to constantly point fingers at yourself. You're doing the best of your ability. Yeah, you got it wrong this time. New lesson learned. Now you know for next time. The way that you speak about to yourself is the most important thing ever. And it can change the trajectory of your life. The way somebody speaks to themselves is a direct correlation with their self-image. Their self-image is a direct correlation with how they show up, the confidence they exude, and what it is that they portray as they go about life. So it actually all begins with making promises, keeping the promises in which you make to yourself. And if you make a mistake, not beating yourself up about it and accepting it quickly, forgiving yourself and moving forward. So the way you speak to yourself, you must speak to yourself as if you are a toddler version of yourself. And constantly say, hey man, you're a champion. Keep on going. Positive, self-loving talk. Yeah, you made that mistake. I forgive you, man. But now you know for next time. Okay? You said you'll do that. You didn't do it. That's okay, man. Tomorrow we're going to show up 10 times harder. I forgive you. I love you. Keep going. You're doing your best. Come on, buddy. You're doing your best. You're doing amazing, buddy. Buddy, you're enough. Buddy, you're really doing it. Right? You said you'd do it, now you're doing it. Look at you go, buddy. The honest truth is, especially with the type of content there is in public, like men should be hard on themselves. Yeah, you should have a high standard for yourself. Speak to yourself in a loving way to ensure that you reach that standard. Speak to yourself in a loving way to ensure that you reach that standard. And the greatest depiction of somebody's self-talk is a depiction of how they speak with others. If you speak to others in a loving tone, you speak to yourself in a loving tone. So those afraid to receive negative criticism, Remind yourself that any negative criticism that you receive is actually a window into how somebody speaks to themselves, and only hold others to the same standards that we hold ourselves. So remember, speak to yourself in a nice, loving way, one that helps you build confidence and allows you to progress forward in life. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, share this video with a friend, and see you in the next one.